Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor, and I have been a big fan of the Chevy Bolt ever since it graced us with an affordable way to get over 200 miles of electric vehicle range 10 years ago with the original Bolt EV. That little computer mouse looking car was basic, simple, strange. It had its flaws, but it's along with Tesla and the Model 3 and Model S and everything, the Chevy Bolt helped push the electric vehicle revolution and has reshaped our streets as we know it here in 2026. So now for the 2027 model year, we have the third generation Bolt, or at least I don't know if Chevy officially calls this the third gen, but to me, that's what makes sense calling it. No longer is it Bolt EV or EUV, it is just the Chevy Bolt. And it's got some great improvements. We're looking at 150 kilowatt charging as opposed to 50 maximum power input from the previous one. Looking at some updated styling, a different charge port here. We've got the NACS Tesla style charge port. What else? We got a different tech suite, different interior. We'll see that here in a moment. But other than that, this is pretty much the Bolt EUV that we knew, loved, and owned for a number of years, but just in a little bit of a redone package. If you do want to see more on the car, check the link below. We've got a few other videos, including a dedicated highway range test, as well as a sound system review on the only sound system you can get now on the Bolt, the 6-speaker audio system. And before we get started, let's give a shout out to the video sponsor, LasFit. LasFit makes mats for all sorts of different cars, and they've got them here for the new Bolt, even though it's not even 2027 yet. LasFit has liners. Now, you can see it's just kind of a simple cargo liner here for the back, but I already used it a little bit earlier this week when I was shooting a comparison with our Chevy Equinox EV. I forgot that we shot that video, so that's another one we got on this car. But I was loading Eve's car seat into here and got it a little bit dirty. You can see we've got that underfloor storage there. LasFit mat fits either up here or down below as well. And then coming into the rear seats, you can see we've got a nice little bit of coverage for us, the outside plastic, and then the mats go nicely up in and around underneath the seats, so if people are putting their feet under there, that not getting your carpet too dirty. And coming into the front, same deal, going nicely under both of the pedals, locking in with the factory mounts. You can see it's been protecting my carpet already. So big shout out to LasFit. If you do want to get yourself a set of liners for your Bolt or any other vehicle, check the link below, use the code DailyMotor, and get you a nice little discount. So like I said, this is essentially the Bolt EUV platform, but with a different battery chemistry. I forgot to point that out earlier. We're using an LFP battery now instead of a lithium-ion battery, which means you can safely and regularly charge this up to 100% state of charge every night and take full advantage of that 262 miles of EPA estimated mixed driving range. The lithium-ion cars, you really shouldn't be charging them more than 80 or 90% on a regular basis unless you don't care about your battery degrading more quickly over time. But this one with the LFP battery should be very good for charging right up to 100 regularly. Now, like I said, we do have this new charging port style, but interestingly enough, this is actually a little bit less convenient for a car like the Bolt because you typically find yourself charging at level 2. This isn't exactly a big road tripper sort of car. Now, some people can use it for that, absolutely, and they're going to appreciate being able to just plug in the Tesla superchargers very quick and easy. But in general, most of your level 2 chargers out there are the SAE, the CCS style ones, the J1772. So you're going to have to carry around an adapter quite a lot. In fact, I had to use an adapter just for charging at home. So kind of an interesting aspect with that change. But eventually, pretty much all cars in North America are going to be over to that charge plug standard. So I get it. And then coming into the front, you can see we've got a nicely laid out interior. We've got a pretty smart design. This is the RS trim, so we've got some fun red cross stitching here on the seats, some Evotex fake leather, and then this cool floating design. You got a wireless device charger here, a little bit of extra storage, a little bit more storage. This is really cool. I like this, that you can kind of adjust how big your cup holders are. Very clever design there from some interior designer there. I like those. I've actually used them for putting my 32-ounce water bottle in here throughout the week. Fairly small center console, but it's a fairly small car. And then cool little bits of storage over there. I mean, this has more interior storage up front here than some 3-row SUVs that I've been in over the last year. So overall, fan of the interior, the layout, and the car styling in general. But let's get started here with my pros. And the first one, which might sound really silly, but coming from somebody who reviews a lot of new electric vehicles, I appreciate the door handles because they're just door handles. They're the type that you can put your hand through, pull them open, click to lock, click to unlock. They're very straightforward, safe, and functional. So many new cars, the Teslas, the Equinox EV, etc., have flush mount door handles that you gotta have pop open as you walk up and everything. Keep it simple. I like the door handles. Next pro, again, the general interior layout and functionality. I showed you the cup holders already. You also got that little adjustable set down here for another cup holder that you can make larger or smaller. I like the general openness of the cabin layout. I like the fact that the back seat has a good amount of space for adults. The headroom is a little bit cramped if you like to sit over to the side. In fact, I just bumped my head getting into it. But I'm 5'10". I've got just a little bit of extra headroom up above me. I'm sitting nice and upright. My legs have a nice bend in them. This upper model has a little flip down armrest, 2 USB-C ports, no air vents back here, unfortunately. So that would be nice, but it's not a huge cabin, so air from the front shouldn't take too long to cool you down. And then again, seeing that adjustable floor, very nifty setup right there, and it expands the usability of the Bolt. So you could drop that down, and then bada bing, bada boom, you can actually fit a good amount of tall space stuff here. The only thing that would improve upon it all is if we had a frunk. I kind of get it, it's a compact car, the powertrain aspects need to go somewhere in the mechanicals, but other than that, love the interior layout and packaging here on the Bolt. Next pro, getting on the road here, putting the car into gear, it's this powertrain. GM has been making electric vehicles technically for almost 30 years, but in earnest ever since the Chevy Volt, and then you had the Bolts, and then at this point you've got the Blazer EV, the Equinox EV, Silverado EV, and the Bolt, not to mention all of the other GM electric vehicles. So they have the electric vehicle powertrain nailed down at this point. The acceleration is very nice and smooth, but also powerful. Then the deceleration on Regen, very smooth, very progressive and comfortable. And then the one pedal driving hands off very, very nicely to the friction brakes. Everything about driving this car is how it should be. It's very annoying when I get in a new electric vehicle and it doesn't have one pedal driving, or the Regen comes on too strong and it feels like it's yanking you back and forth. Very, very nice and fitting powertrain experience for city driving in this car. Next pro, the price. This is actually a fairly reasonably priced car for something that you can charge decently quick. You got a very usable amount of range. You can haul 5 people, 4 comfortably. You can put some stuff in it. And it's got enough tech, even if you pay a little bit more here, even more tech, to be a very good new car experience. I mean, this one we're driving right here is $34,000. I've got a huge screen in here with navigation. I've got a big screen up in front of me. I've got a camera rearview mirror. I've got a 360 camera. I have adaptive cruise control, active lane keeping. You can get Super Cruise if you pay a little bit more. You've got, what else is kind of decently remarkable? I don't know. I mean, it's overall a car that I don't feel like I'm being gypped necessarily on what I'm getting for the price. And I think about what other cars I've tested that cost less than this. Not many. Not many. I mean, Kia K4, and that's at the top of our DM leaderboard right now. I'd have to look to see if there's anything else I've tested this year that's less than this Bolt. So EVs are not out of reach anymore. It's pretty darn cool. My last pro with the Bolt is the road noise. It's surprisingly quiet in here. Again, for a car that starts at just over half of the new car average transaction price here in 2026, listen to this on concrete highway. It's very quiet in here. I noticed it throughout the entire time we were doing the highway range test. I've been in many more expensive cars that are louder than this Bolt, so pretty decently refined. Coming back here static for my cons, and it's a big one. No Apple CarPlay or Android Auto support. And for me, it's not just not having it, but it's the fact that GM and Chevy have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto with this infotainment system in their gasoline cars, but they don't include it for the electric vehicles, and that's such a shame to me. We own an Equinox EV. We do get along fine without it, but it's still annoying to hop in the car and have something like a podcast that you had going on your phone, or a video, or a song or something like that, and have to get it either set up with one of the apps that's here in the car, or simply use Bluetooth, which is arguably less safe using Bluetooth on your phone and controlling it there and everything than having it baked into the screen here. It's purely a cash play. General Motors will say, oh, well, we think the electric vehicles work better with the built-in navigation. I agree, but give us the option at least. Don't lock us out of something just so that you can make more money and charge people for data streaming service subscription plans after a few years, even when the system is entirely capable of supporting it. So it's a big shame to me, and something that would keep me from recommending these cars to people and probably buying one myself. Especially because this is overall a very nice infotainment system. It's remarkably snappy. It turns on so quick when you get in the car and turn the vehicle on. It's on and ready to go. I love having the Android apps built in. I love having Google Maps. Look how great I mean, this is the best navigation in a new vehicle. But the fact that you don't have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, big bummer. Next con, seat comfort and elbow comfort. You've got this very basic armrest right here in the middle, and it's decently far back, not to mention pretty cheap right there. But it means that if you're somebody who likes to drive with your elbow resting and then holding the steering wheel, it's not very comfortable. And then also the seat, surprisingly narrow, and it's got a little bit of aggressive bolstering, which means that my butt, I'm not a large person at all, but the sides of my butt are hitting up against the sides of the rear of the seat. I noticed it in our range test, and I'm noticing it even sitting right here. Next con. For any of you who have owned Chevy EVs in the past, maybe a Bolt, maybe a Volt, anything like that, unfortunately they've gotten rid of the Regen paddle on the back of the steering wheel. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, pretty much all of the General Motors electric cars for a while there had this little paddle on the side that you could use to activate full Regen. Right now I'm just on normal Regen, so I get about 60 kilowatts or so slowing down the car. But then in the other EVs, if I pulled the paddle on the left side, it would slow down even more dramatically. I understand that it's kind of a niche feature that probably wasn't used all that often, and GM just decided to get rid of it for the Bolt. But it's kind of a bummer because I do like using it in our Equinox EV. It's just one thing that kind of made the car a little more unique. Now it's gone. Next con, the dealership experience. We've purchased a new Bolt EUV, and then we also leased a new Equinox EV. And both times, the dealer experience was such a pain in the butt with the back and forth with the pricing, and then being in the dealership for 4 hours. Even though we knew exactly which car we were buying, we knew how much we wanted to pay, I had to go through the salesperson, and then the second salesperson, and then the finance department, and then just like, oh my gosh, get me out of here. And then you're worried that, okay, well, we've got this price locked in. Well, then, okay, they're going to give you the car, and then they say, oh, by the way, we put a $1,000 paint protection package on there that you can't take off. And I'm like, what? I'm not paying for that. I want the car. I don't need the extra $1,000 paint protection. Get it out of there. You know what's a lot better of an experience? When we bought our Tesla Model Y, and I went online, we configured it as we wanted it, I hit order, and then when the car was ready, we went to the service center and they said, here you go, and we left. That's how new car buying should be here in 2026. I hate going to Chevy dealerships, and it again would be one of the few things that pushed me away from buying a Bolt. The last con. This car is clearly cheaper inside than the previous Bolt EUV. The last Bolt was a kind of a nice car. I mean, yeah, it was more of an economy car, but it had the upgradable sound system, the Bose with the subwoofer in the back. It had some nice interior materials. It wasn't luxury by any means, but it was nice. This one, you can clearly tell they made at a lower price point. The interior materials are simpler and cheaper. That's why I was surprised that it is quiet as it is inside, because you wouldn't think it would be, given how cheap the rest of the interior is. So it's functional. I like that. I like that they give us the physical buttons on the steering wheel and on the center console, and I like the way that the interior is laid out, but it does feel like a cheaper car in here. Maybe that's a good thing. You know, the Equinox exists, the Blazer exists at higher price points, so I get why they did it. It's just something to keep in mind. So, wrapping up my final thoughts here on the Bolt for 2027. I almost called it the Bolt EV, but it isn't anymore. I do really like this car. And I kind of said this also in our Equinox EV comparison test video, but if you're somebody who it's pretty much just you driving your car and then occasionally a passenger and even more occasionally some people in the back and some stuff, this is a fantastic daily driver. It really is. I'm not a big proponent of spending a ton of money on your new car and then wasting a bunch on fuel. Get yourself a Bolt, man. I mean, it's got things that I don't like, but they're pretty much all overseeable. And I would love to kind of die on this hill of, oh, I would never recommend buying a General Motors electric vehicle until they add CarPlay back in. It stinks. I get it, but I've said my piece, and I don't think it's enough of a reason to not buy this car. It's I like driving it around. I do, and I think it's a great new car buy. So before we wrap up, I gotta put it on the Daily Motor Leaderboard. Current leaders of the DM Leaderboard: Kia K4, Tesla Model 3, Toyota Sienna. This is going right here below the Lexus RX and above the Hyundai Ioniq 9. I like the Ioniq 9, it's just so gosh darn expensive, and so for many people it needs to be immediately ruled out. The cool thing about the Bolt is you don't have to rule it out because it isn't crazy expensive. It's actually very reasonable. It looks cool, drives great, provides a ton of functionality, and it won't break the bank. Tell me, unless you live in an apartment complex, why you shouldn't buy a Bolt. So thank you all so much for watching. If you do want to see more on this habanero orange electric vehicle, check the link below for our other content. Big shout out to LadsFit for sponsoring the video. Pick up some mats with the link below, and we will see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.